Hey guys.
Hey guys, we're
Hi
in a
guys,
sprint.
we're in
We're in a
sprint.
sprint.
Wait.
We're in a sprint.
Wait. We're
We're in
going.
We're in a sprint. We're in a sprint. We're in a sprint. Hey.
This is why I said it, because Pat was like, "Hi
Hi
guys."
guys. We want you guys to get excited today. Thank you for joining us. My name is Umar.
Hi,
This is
Umar.
Shulie.
Umar.
And this is Pat.
Hi.
We
Hi guys.
are three business owners that decided to form a mastermind to help each other and support each other in this new time. So we decided, wouldn't it be cool if we invited the rest of the world to join us, so that you too would have someone to support your dreams. Right now, there's a lot of dream killers out there, a lot of people that are really sad and depressed, and we don't want to be in that category.
Right.
So let's tell you what a sprint is before we get too in depth today about why it's changing our life.
Can I say one thing
Yes,
first before you say that?
please.
Okay, so from our last mastermind meeting that we had, that we recorded and we put on YouTube, we had a number of questions. The major question that we got was, what is a sprint?
Hey,
so we want to deal
We in a
with,
sprint.
forgive my friends today,
I
okay?
was just saying it low. Don't make me sing. But go ahead. Keep going.
So we want to address that one particular question because it's been so important to us and to our success over the last 30 days that we thought we would actually address what we meant by a sprint, what does it mean to be in a sprint, and what our challenges were. So we're going to let Shulie start with, what is a sprint?
Come on, Pat Oprah. I just had to do it. Now let me compose myself, okay? To talk about what is a sprint. So a sprint is to run at full speed over a short distance. I had to look it up. So
I like that.
When you said that, what is a sprint?
Mhm.
I was like, really, what is that? But from a creative perspective, it is to gain momentum, to do something, to set a period of time to accomplish something. So a 30-day goal, 90-day goal. Most people do it. Maybe you could do a 10-day sprint. Maybe you could do a 14-day. We chose a 30-day sprint.
Yes, we
but
did.
it's where you do it at fast speed or fast pace, because success loves speed. That's one of the things I'm learning.
Yes.
And I believe that you set some things in motion in a magical way to set the tone for the things you want to accomplish when you do a sprint.
Okay. So in having decided that we were indeed going to do a sprint, we were each asked by Shulie to come up with what we wanted to do on the sprint. She initially set her sprint up for writing her book. I set my sprint up for going on social media, putting my business on a social media platform. And then Umar, what did you do your sprint with?
I set my sprint up for both clearing my space and all of my devices, all my virtual spaces. And then the other thing was defining what I wanted.
Wow.
That's important.
That is very important, because the whole objective of the sprint is to focus us toward a direction.
Correct.
So if you don't have a direction, or you don't know what you want to do in this sprint, it's kind of like useless, right? So you have to actually have a purpose that you want to accomplish that's important, that's leading you to your bigger goal or leading you to a definite end. So that is so critical.
So Pat Oprah.
Come on, Pat Oprah.
Do you think that we should ask the audience what they want to do for their sprint?
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's do this.
Okay.
I'm being
so with our sprint, I think it was significant that when we left our last meeting, we actually talked about our sprints, what challenges we had with each of our individual sprints, and what we learned. So before we put you on one, we're going to let each person tell you what they learned from their sprints.
Yeah, let's do that. With the sprint, I guess I'm going first.
You're going first.
I just jumped on in there since I started these shenanigans in the first place.
Yeah.
And with mine, like you said, having purpose in mind, Umar, I purpose to complete my book, not only complete it, but get my book to a place of just out in the world. And I knew that I was holding myself back in ways, and I felt stuck. And I chose to write about my journey, and in learning about fear, as I help people with their voice, I noticed some things in myself, how fear was showing up in my life. And God took me on a journey from fear to freedom. And I'm writing about that in my book. And with that 30 days of writing, I said initially 2 hours a day, but we're going to talk about in what we learned from it. I get what we're here now, so I can talk about that.
So, but in her writing this book, I don't want you to get the impression that she began this book just in the 30 days.
Thank you for
She
that.
has been writing this book for some time. This 30 days put her back in connection with this writing of this book and this purpose that she's had to complete this book. So, having said that, tell them how you started.
I started writing the book in 2015. And I remember writing.
It's never too late to complete a goal.
Come on. That is it. So yeah, I started writing the book in 2015. That's when God was showing me all of that. And I would start and stop and start and stop. And before I started the sprint, I completed 85 pages.
Wow.
Yes. And
wow.
I couldn't even bring myself to go back and look at it, like to see what I had written and what I had accomplished. And the first part of my sprint was to go back to read, to get organized, and then start writing again. But it came to me to do it in a sprint fashion again, to pick it up, because I needed that momentum. I needed to regain the strength. And like you're saying, fear got in the way of writing it. What will people think about me by me sharing and being vulnerable? And you have to get messy sometimes. And I'm used to being very professional and composed and poised. And I had a lot of things going on in the background in my life, and I know that they'll help people, because what we go through is not always for us. Right? It's for other people.
And what we found out just as business owners is you're always going to have challenges in business. You're always going to have other people's perspective of you in business. And so these are things you have to manage, and you have to manage them in such a way that they don't stop you from accomplishing what it is you're trying to accomplish.
That is a fact. And with picking it up, like you said, I really tried to make it all cute. Well, I did create a workspace, a nice inspirational workspace. I got into this whole rhythm. I need to do this. Do I need to pray first? Do I need to sage? Do I need to do all these things? And just, it was so much. And God was like, sit down, write, be open. And I just really did what I've been teaching people to do, is like hand to heart. God, what do you want to say through me?
So it sounds like, Shulie, you were always reworking your process to get into the sprint mode, right?
For sure.
And that can be a hindrance, always reworking the process. I've learned with myself.
Perfection.
You're always trying to achieve perfection, but that's not achievable. Writing is the goal, not editing. And so when we write, you just put everything out there. And editing is another phase of writing. And so that's what I've learned with even design. It's just going out there, looking at what's all there, putting it down on paper, and then coming back and edit it, right?
Good. I was editing myself as I went along and judging myself and imperfection, which perfection is fear, right? Perfection, procrastination, those things are fear. And as I recognized it, I would just shift and go back into my heart space. God, again, what is it that you want to say through me? And then throughout this, some of that I just needed to listen. I needed to listen to something that he wanted me to hear. Maybe I needed to see what another author was doing. So one of the things I realized, I got stuck on how many pages. How many? Is it 40,000 words? Because manuscripts and books used to be really long. Now books are not that long. And one day God just had me to just start picking up books and looking at books that I've read and I enjoyed. Those books were like 200 pages.
Wow.
Some of the books were 100
That gave
pages.
you a different perspective, right?
I started writing
So perspective is important, right?
Yeah.
For what you've already done, instead of comparison. Perspective over comparison, right?
Right. And inspiration over comparison. Perspective and inspiration over comparison. And what I realized, like in Think and Grow Rich, the part that talked about 3 feet from gold.
Can we pick that book up?
Look.
So for you guys who do not know, our sprint is based in this book.
Yes.
This is so many professionals and leaders' Bible for success.
Yeah.
Because it just really encompasses all of the challenges that you're going to go through when you set out on your major purpose or your big goal or anything that is the desire in your heart to fulfill, whether it's a certain station in life, a creative project, whatever it is, how big or small,
Yeah.
it really is a foundational
It is.
book.
It's a foundational book for
Yes,
real.
yes.
Okay, so let's finish your
Okay.
sprint.
Yeah, so back to that thoughts and desires. But yes, I had a desire, going back referencing the book and pulling that in. I had a desire to complete it, but again, 3 feet from goal. When I thought
my
about that, it made me
gosh.
think about that chapter. I stopped my writing and I was at 85 pages.
Wow.
This is tight, single spaced,
pages.
regular type pages.
That's a lot, guys. I don't know if you understand what she's saying, but that's a lot of work already done that she just sat down on the shelf and just quit, basically.
Because, and I didn't know what the end was, even though I had an outline. Like I did everything that I knew to do, learned to do, read to do, create an outline right from the outline. And one of the things they said was, start with the end in mind. I've known the story I wanted to tell, but I was so caught up in making it look perfect, which is one of the things that I've been working myself out of for a long time, which is why I can sit here now and just be silly, and it feels good and it feels freeing.
So what did the sprint, why a sprint?
Why a sprint for me was because that was the thing that I heard to do to get it going. And it was to boost myself up, to get the momentum, to cover the ground, to gain speed so that I can get the book. Well, that was the other thing, get my book finished to come to completion. And then I got stuck in, how do I know when I'm done?
Wow.
Because at first I had a word goal. Is it a chapter goal? And I was like, I don't know when I'm done. And honestly, as I'm doing this, as I'm led to do it, if I'm following the lead, if, like Umar was saying, if you don't have purpose, you can tap in spiritually for sure.
Yeah,
I'm writing the book because I was called to write the book, because I didn't want to write a book. I can talk.
She didn't want to write a book.
I can talk the book. I've talked the book out. I've told stories. I've done interviews. I've shared with people. I've shared my journey. I didn't want to write it. And so even with that, God said, when I'm done speaking. No, when will I be done? When I'm done speaking.
Wow.
When I'm done speaking.
Wow.
And and this is how I'm writing this. It is like a spiritual or spiritually guided process. And when I'm done, I'm like, am I complete?
Wow.
And when I get that completion,
I have a question to ask you, Shulie, because I think that part of what stops people, like you at least had a process and you had a purpose, but what if you're struggling with your purpose? What if you like have a bunch of ideas floating out there in space?
Start on one.
Pick one.
And what I'm learning is once you pick one directionally, you'll figure out whether that's for you or not. But the point is, pick a direction. The problem is we don't pick anything because there's so many places to go. We just sit there. You become overwhelmed with the directions in them. Should I go left? Should I go right? Should I go east? So what happens is we just start out driving, go east, then go west, then end up in the same place.
Failing to choose
is an issue. It's a choice and it's a problem, right?
It is. And what you're saying is that leads to confusion. It's not definiteness of purpose.
That's right.
That's it.
That's
it's
right.
Not that. That's what, when you said that, that's what makes sense to me. Yeah, failing to choose is a choice, which leads to confusion because, like you said, now you're stagnant. It leads to you're all over the place, and the energy, as opposed to it being very focused and you get things done, it slows down because now it's fragmented.
Okay, so she used the word focus. That's what a sprint does. It focuses you on direction. It focuses you on an objective. So a sprint is not meant to be left and right and east and west. When you see somebody running 100-yard dash, they have a goal in mind, which is 100 yards away from where they want to go.
Yes.
And they've trained, and now they're going to make this sprint. They're not wobbling on the course. They are running directly for that thing. So this sprint is meant to be directional. It's meant to be focused on a particular thing and a particular goal.
Yes.
To get you momentum.
To with momentum.
And with accountability.
And accountability gets you to the finish line. And when you're talking about training, this is what I'm hearing. It's who you become during the sprint too, because that's the preparation and the regimen, because you don't just jump out there and run. We did that in kindergarten. We did that in elementary school.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about higher levels. So that means higher training. It's it's time now for the Olympics. We just watched the Super Bowl. So what I'm hearing is, you don't just jump out there, because you need to, it's a mindset. It's your body. So it makes sense why.
Okay. So not to cut her off, that's something that I wrote down today when I was coming in here, that there is a multi-dimensionality to success.
Ooh.
That we work in all phases of our life, our body, our soul, our spirit, our finances. You cannot just work in one dimension. Although the sprint focuses you, you still have to be, during the sprint, you can't just eat potato chips.
It's who you're becoming.
It's who you're becoming.
Because if I'm sick,
during the sprint,
if I'm sick and uncomfortable and have reflux, then I'm not going to write.
You're not going to write.
Or if I'm eating too heavy, I'm going to want to sleep.
Exactly.
Just to make it practical.
Right.
I mean, it's just something as simple as that. Keep talking about that again.
All right. So
Talk
this
about
whole idea of multidimensionality during the sprint means that even though you have a focus, you got to keep all of you up. You've got to eat right. You've got to get some exercise. You got to, in order to succeed in life, in business, and I think all of us have done this. We've joined gyms. She takes a boxing class. He's at a gym. The guy put out of a gym, but went back to another gym. Okay. I joined the gym. Jesus have mercy. Okay. So we're understanding that success is not just financially. If you focus success in the beginning only on money, you will miss the whole aspect of success completely. Because success is about, as Shulie said, who you're becoming in the process. The money comes as you become. Mm-hmm. And so when we become successful in ourselves, in our physical life, in our spiritual life, in our moral beings, who we are as a person, and we define that, success is you draw success. Success is not made. That's it's drawn to you, right? Because of who you're becoming. So money truly follows you. And success follows you when you're determined to change. And so part of that change is, and I hate to say this. Can I say this?
Say it, please.
We're
flowing.
Oftentimes, we are wonderful spiritually, but we are 600 pounds. And I'm not being negative, but in order to serve God and serve yourself, you've got to be healthy. Mm-hmm. You have got to make health a priority, because if you had to walk 3 miles, you wouldn't be able to. So God, what money can he give you that we're not going to spend on eating? I'm not saying just you. I've had this issue my own self. And so as part of this sprint, it has forced me to look at my health. Yes. I want God to bless me with money. I want to be a success in business, but why? If I'm not going to be healthy enough to do anything with it, right?
To do anything with it, to enjoy it, to actually carry it out. Because as we're going to these levels we're going to gain access to people and places and things, and you have to be prepared for it. So if God tells you to go on a journey, since we're being spiritual, and he says, I want you to walk the US, honey, wow. You don't walk. And we're not, like you said, it's not about the weight. We're using weight because that's something that you can actually see.
It's something that's visual.
But we can talk about weights that we don't see also. That could be relationships.
Perfection.
Baggage. Come on.
Who are you still resenting?
Are you
still telling everybody about your past business failures with the business partner that you're no longer in business with?
Okay, so now, so since Shulie just finished her sprint, because we want to move on, because we do want to talk about what we learned from this, about your sprint, Umar.
Okay, so I'm going to start in a different area. I'm going to bounce all over the place, but I have a point in doing this. The importance of the mastermind group with the sprint. I'm going to talk about that, because I think that a lot of times people miss that. The mastermind group offers you a protection. We are your protection. You can't share your vision with everybody, because not everyone's going to understand why you're taking the time to do this sprint. They may not understand what was put in your heart, what was put in your mind, what you're inspired by. They may laugh at you. They may discourage you. They may want to keep you safe. So in my sprint was clearing, And I shared that with my mastermind, Pat and Shulie, and we would discuss on a daily basis, like what was the clearing doing for me? What did I notice? What was I clearing? And through that conversation with them, I got the support I needed. If I would have started randomly telling some of my friends, they may have like gotten really silly. Well, we've been telling you to clean up for years. And then I'm stuck in my head defending myself with them, as opposed to being purpose driven on my goal. So remember, the sprint is about being short, focused, having momentum, and getting that dash that you need to get to that next spurt. So you don't need any distractions. So I don't tell my family members, I don't tell my coworkers, I don't tell my clients. This is something that stays in my mastermind because I want to devote all of that energy into the sprint. The next thing, what did I learn from clearing and defining my purpose? One of the reasons you notice I keep mentioning, well, what if you don't know your purpose? So many of us are given purposes through television, through our family, through institutions that tell us, this is what success looks like. This is what you want. We're constantly being sold on someone else's vision.
And that it has a number, a dollar number on it. Success is not always about the final number.
Or the car that you're in, or the neighborhood, the zip code that you're in. So I had to get really clear as what do I define as success? I have all of these status symbols, which I'm told will give me the appearance of success. And what I discovered is through checking a lot of those boxes is I still felt empty.
Wow.
I was checking these boxes. I was doing everything that everyone told me I needed to do to feel successful. And I didn't feel successful. I felt tired. I felt drained. Yes. I felt like I was rushing from one activity to the next. I felt depleted. I was trying to be this superhuman and it wasn't working out for me. So the sprint.
Why do you think that was?
Because that's what I was told. I think in America,
like the tired, like the fatigue. I feel like it's important to touch on that. People are like, why the fatigue, the overwhelm?
Because I worked 14 hours a day so that I could make a certain amount of money so that I could be considered successful.
Right.
Correct.
And I was exhausted. I was so tired.
He was really exhausted.
I didn't enjoy the money.
On the real tip, he was exhausted.
I did not enjoy the money.
Wow.
I was too tired.
That was one of the things. Yeah, that was one of the things I learned on my first month abroad was that the grind. It's not about the grind.
No.
And that's what we learned.
And I hate that word grind because it literally means to take something and beat it up against the stone until it's pummeled. Yeah. You're just shredded to wear it down to a fine powder. So when we're talking about we're on the grind, that's not a good word. Don't wear me down. I don't want to be powder.
Okay. But go ahead.
I want to be whole.
I want to be whole.
So that was huge for me to step back and really start to analyze, what do I even know my purpose? So you may be asking yourself that question. Do I have a purpose? Do I know my purpose? So for me, my sprint was, let me clear out all of this old stuff that is not serving me anymore. Let me clear out old phone numbers. Let me clear out old emails. Let me clear out old mail, old packs of paper, all this stuff. And energetically, I felt lighter.
Amen.
It was almost like all of these things were like open windows on computer screens, tabs that I had opened up and never closed. And I didn't realize how that weighed me down.
Wow.
That's
awesome.
I had to clear it. So
awesome.
What did I learn? I learned that when I don't have all of these open window tabs in my life taking up space, I have more freedom to move because while I'm working, doing my sprint, the last thing I want to do is look over across the room and see a pile of papers and go, I really need to get those papers handled. I really need to get those papers put away.
It takes you off of your focus.
I really need to clean this house. I really need to call so-and-so back. Oh, I need to check these emails. So it
removes distractions and excuses, right? Because sometimes we can use those things as excuses to not do what we're supposed to do.
I think it creates attention deficit disorder. I think you end up so scattered. I think you end up scattered and your energy is dissipated because you're trying to juggle all these incomplete tasks all over your life.
And so that for him was the beginning of his sprint. That's what he needed to do in order to get focused. Shulie was already focused on a direction and actually brought the sprint to the mastermind group.
Yes.
So in having brought the sprint to the mastermind group, then myself and Umar, we had to pull a direction for this sprint because it was 30 days. And we're not going to end this sprint until the 25th of this month of February. We began it on the 15th of January. And so the 25th is the end of this sprint, but we are not going to do another sprint. Yes. We have already engaged and dialogued about what our next sprint is going to look like.
See, this is the mastermind.
This the crazy stuff. This is the crazy stuff they do.
But you need to tell us about your sprint. We talked about our sprint.
Okay, so my sprint has been business focused. I began a new company this year called Scott Ard Group. And Scott Ard Group is the furniture manufacturing end of my business. It is actually the over canopy of all of my businesses now. So when I began that focus,
can I get some chairs, Pat?
Yes, you can get some chairs.
The chair from the video is beautiful. Now, she know I'll ask too. Don't let me see it because I'm going to want to. But keep going.
So she has my custom shades already. So she ain't getting nothing else.
Other people are trying to take it. So if you're watching this and you've seen the shades, the beautiful royal shades in my home,
you can't have
it. This is who did it, and you cannot have it.
No.
So my sprint came because I needed to get my business onto a social media platform or social media platforms. In their defense, my friends have been telling me for the longest that I needed to do this. However, having never advertised in any way, I've been successful. So it's been word of mouth for me. So I did not feel like social media was for me. I only saw it as a personal medium, right? But what I understood was it's not always about what I like. It's about what the people who want to do business with me needs from me, right? So my sprint became, okay, I need to be focused on getting my business on social media platforms. So I created a YouTube channel. And so now I'm populating that YouTube channel. I also did a couple of little low-key commercials for my YouTube channel. And I'm upgrading I haven't gotten one. It's Pat right now, but I'm changing to the Scott Ard Group.
Okay, so when they find you, it's youtube.com/Pat.
At Pat Ard.
At Pat Ard.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now, the things that are going to be that we're uploading to that channel, I'm not going to change the name back to the Scott Ard Group until I actually get everything loaded onto it. Okay. So, but that has forced me to really go out and evaluate what platforms I want to be on versus letting people dictate to me what platforms I should be on.
And you can
so I can direct. And so now I feel much better that I can direct my social media direction versus having people tell me what it ought to be, which makes me uncomfortable. Yeah. So I had to find a healthy medium for me to be able to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. So
this was your process.
This was my process. Yeah. So I had to use the sprint to actually make me, one, go do the research, two, actually start something. I wrestled with this thing, and like Shulie says, when you make no decision, that is a decision. So I wrestled with it, and one day it was like, girl, just start the channel, And I did because I needed to respond to something that was actually on YouTube, and you cannot.
Was this a result of the sprint?
Yes, this was a result of the sprint.
And that's what the sprint is about. It's about the starting, because we can't say what we can't accomplish if we have never started.
I had never started that. And every time I looked at it, y'all, I was so fearful of it because I've just seen people throw rocks and hide their hands, and they use social media as a way to beat you down or whatever. And our goal here, while we're talking about social media, is to help. It's never to try and tell you what to do for your business. We just want to be a resource that if we can give you our experience in any way and it helps one person, I think all of us would say we are absolutely satisfied. So that's what my sprint is about still going social media. But I've made so much progress. A whole new website. Umar will be happy about that. A whole new website, new platform on YouTube, so that I can use that platform to show people actually what my business is about. So it's been great, but it's been hard, guys.
Mm-hmm.
We have learned some things about the sprint. And I think we want to share just a little bit. And then on the next time that we meet, we'll drill down a bit like we're talking about the sprint. But we want to drill down a bit to the challenges that we had in the sprint. And I think it was first talked about by Shalonda in one of our mastermind groups, where she said, I was just worn out. I don't know. I think maybe your sprint was a bit much this time.
It was keeping to the 2 hours. Like, we put these demands on ourselves that are not required. Like, we're talking about learning what success is. And for me, I didn't realize that I have this thing about time, I have to accomplish a thing by a certain time. And I need to be able to, it's unnecessary. Like, yes, you can be disciplined, but discipline does not require you to be so rigid that you can't create. And that's what I learned in this sprint. Mm-hmm. So with that, I think, let's talk about the changes, because I needed to shift, because that 2 hours was wearing me out. It was a lot.
So we've modified, we have talked about what we're going to do to modify our sprints in this next 30-day sprint, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was actually Umar who gave us an idea for what we needed to do going forward in the sprint. So we changed from instead of a straight 90-day sprint, that we use a portion of the sprint to clear out from where we were in the first sprint and get ourselves balanced and reset over that time, and then do a 15-day planning period. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do a 15-day planning period and then go into the sprint, the next sprint. Umar, why don't you explain a little bit of that?
So part of what we want to obey the rhythm and cycles of nature. You know, if you were a farmer, there's a season to plant, there is a season to harvest, and then there's a season to allow the land to repair itself. And I think that is key. When I looked at, how do we continuously go from sprint to sprint to sprint to sprint?
Because I'm serious, we was tired as hell. We tired as hell.
Yeah,
we just tired.
So I thought about let's do a resting phase, and this is the importance of the mastermind. When we talk about the mastermind alliance, I'm going to bring it back to that. Is that we're all in an agreement to achieve something great for ourselves. So we're open to exchanging ideas. And the idea to rest came about through a class I was taking. So if you notice, a lot of the times when our ideas are into, what's the word? Come on, mastermind. When we're flowing and something's introduced,
ideas are presented.
It's ideas that are taken from years of experience, classes that we're taking, workshops, books we're reading. So someone might tap into something that you haven't yet heard of, and that's what we're doing constantly as we mastermind. So the importance of clearing is to allow yourself to clear out energetically all the things that residue from unfinished things. You want to close the loop. Anything that in that sprint needs to be handled, you handle it so that you can reach a stopping point, then reevaluate. Okay, what did I learn? What did this sprint teach me? Where were my wins? Where were my perceived failures? I'm going to underline the word perceived. Because it's not a failure.
Because it's not a failure. You accomplished something, right?
Need to improve. Like, what are my improvements that I need to make? Yeah, my wins, my improvements, and
so we're taking stock of our inventory. We're looking at what our wins were, what our losses were, what our gains were, what did we learn? And then from there, this is enough information that you can use to start to plan your next phase. And then you move into the planning phase. Notice we didn't just go into something else. We stopped, we evaluated, and we're planning the next step.
So 30, 15 rest, reflection, and then 15 planning, and then
the start of the sprint, of the next sprint. So I think we have learned enough during this first sprint that we want to drill down on the next time about telling you exactly what we did and the modifications that we're making now, because we are at the end of a sprint. So we can kind of give you a little bit of information regarding how to take the sprint to the next level, or how to prepare for the sprint. And I think the one thing that Umar said about cleansing is his sprint was cleansing, but we're suggesting that you actually go through cleansing now if you want to start a sprint.
Yes.
That you start setting your environment up.
That's true.
So that if it's people you need to put on,
put them on notice.
Put them on notice. Listen, I got 15 days. I'm trying to get myself in ready to actually get into my sprint, right?
And you decide.
Clear your calendar.
Yeah, you could decide. You get to decide what could get in your way. Is it I'm in too many groups? Am I in too many clubs? Am I on too many phone calls? But we won't do that. Like, right? We need to leave them with something. We're going to talk more about that because I think, as we've discussed, that is important. And even though we want to just like let
time won't permit,
let this settle in. Like, really think about a sprint and what it is that you want to accomplish. And spend this time.
Is that a challenge?
I think it's a
challenge.
Sounds
like a challenge.
You know, you just got initiated into a mastermind, right?
Yeah.
You just got challenged.
Let it sink in. Like you said, as they're thinking about that, but start thinking about purpose. Umar was the one that said that anyway. Like, what is it that you're purposing to complete? And maybe it is learning to clear your life. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be the same thing. You get to decide and get off the world's
Did we just initiate them?
Yeah.
I think
y'all kind of you. If you're still watching this, I think you remember now. You remember.
You're here, so you might as well sprint.
Might as well.
You might as well sprint.
Take that challenge.
So what we want to do is challenge you to come up with, and if you would put it in the comments, we really would like for you to like or thumbs up this video, like it so that we can continue to do this. But the other thing we'd like for you to do is, one, put it in the comments.
Yes.
Whatever questions you have for us, because this is going to air. We're doing it live, but it's actually going to be posted on YouTube. And so you're going to get a chance to look at it. And any questions you have, share it with someone else and let them be a part of this next sprint. And we're all going to do this sprint together.
Yes.
Right.
And subscribe also. When you subscribe, even when we go live, you'll know and you can join us. You can tune in and be a part of our virtual audience too. So subscribe, like it, share it, and most importantly, like you said, comment and give us your feedback.
Comment and give us your feedback. We're really looking forward to that, and we're excited for this next sprint because we know that you're going to be joining us on the journey, right, guys?
Yes.
So we want to tell you thank you again for your time. We very much appreciate you, and we appreciate your time. Give us any comments or feedback. Just don't be nasty, okay?
We're in a sprint. We're in a sprint. We're in a sprint.
Guys, thank you so much today for being a part of the flow. We're so excited about this whole process. Please help us be better.
And we're excited to be a part of your process too. So let us know what it is that your purpose is looking like it's going to be today.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And until next time, remember to stay in the
flow.
So